Right, good morning everyone. Welcome to another episode of our stay-at-home safaris. A little bit of a quieter day yesterday with Derek, but hopefully today brings a bit more luck. Started off with the herd of buffalo again, sorry Chris. They've been hanging around camp quite a lot now. Pretty relaxed. The Pride lions haven't been down in the south here for a while, so they've had a few days off from any pressure from lions. Got some impalas rutting in the background, so the day is starting, and we'll head out and see what we can find. So very fortunate to bump into a nice small herd of elephants here coming down the road. A little bit nervous I think to come down the road towards us, but we'll spend a bit of time with them. We've been very fortunate with the amount of elephants that we've been seeing in the last little while. There are times where we see very few elephants, but over the last couple of weeks the elephant viewing has really been spectacular, and really enjoyed spending a lot of time with these wonderful animals. But one of the nice things about spending time with the big animals and settling down is you get to see some of the smaller things. It's a great view of African joker sunning itself there in the early morning sun. You quite often find with elephants that you have one tusk longer than the others. Elephants are often referred to as being either left or right-handed or right-tusked. They prefer to use one tusk more than the other, particularly when using it as a tool, as like a leverage tool. They'll break branches off over the tusks. This adult cow here is using her left tusk much more often than the right, and has actually developed a bit of a notch in the tusk where she continually breaks branches off of it. The tusks are quite soft, the ivory, and wears pretty quickly. Eventually that notch wears all the way through, and the tusk breaks off, and so the one tusk that they use all the time gets shorter and shorter. Well, it seems as if the elephants have settled here for now in this thicket, not coming out into the open as we were hoping, but lovely view of them feeding very calmly around the vehicle. So we'll carry on and hopefully try and find some cats for the morning. They've been a little bit scarce in the last few days, so we'll continue. Right, so seems like the quiet days are continuing from yesterday. Not too much happening today. I did have those nice elephants early on, and I wanted to chat a little bit about the negative side of elephants, or the effects of elephants rather, not always negative. You can see behind me quite a lot of the dead acacia trees that have all been killed by elephants. Elephants in great numbers have quite a destructive force. They feed on a lot of vegetation every day. They need to eat about 5% of their body weight every single day, which means that the habitat can take quite a serious knock. One of the big effects that they have is on these really large trees. These are all acacia, acacia nigrescens, knobthorns. And what they do with these acacias, as well as some other trees, is ring bark the trees at certain times of year, particularly the dry season. They strip the bark off the trees, which, if they ring bark them, completely kills the trees. Some trees, they just take off parts of it, and the trees are able to survive. But once it goes all the way around the bark, it's like cutting your wrist. It cuts off the food and water supply, and it eventually kills the tree. In big densities of elephants, or if they have a big effect, then it can, like this area here, can have quite a devastating effect on the large trees. But if it happens in small quantities, it's not a bad thing. It definitely creates space for other trees, insects, birds to thrive in. You have the wood borer beetles that utilize these dead trees significantly. A lot of nesting birds that create holes in these dead trees are very beneficial for those birds. Occasionally they'll push over trees as well. If the roots stay intact, then the tree will continue to grow, and the leaves, which would normally not be available to a lot of the browsers, is suddenly available again to things like kudu and bushbuck. So it's not all doom and gloom, but definitely in certain areas. This clearing behind me is called acacia clearing, and in a few years, maybe 10 or 20 years, there's going to be very few acacias left. So they definitely do have a destructive force in them. Right, always fantastic to see we got a buffalo coming down to drink. Not quite as much enthusiasm today as normal. Obviously had quite a good drink either earlier this morning, or maybe have come down a few times today. But still, nonetheless, pretty cool to see. Little Grebe still on the same dam as it was a couple of episodes ago, gathering food on the surface. Not too bothered by all the buffalo. Right, I think we're going to let them be. Most of them have been down to the water already and carrying on, so we'll do the same and see if we can finally find a cat for this afternoon. So let's hope so. Tying in a little bit to what we mentioned this morning about the effect of elephants on large trees. This is potentially one of the downsides of the destruction of large trees by elephants is the loss of habitat for these large birds of prey and certain storks that utilize these big trees to nest in. If we lose all our big trees, then we're going to start losing nesting habitats for these birds, which many of them are also already critically endangered. So we mentioned briefly about the birds of prey that are susceptible to the loss of nesting habitats. These ground hornbills, which we saw the other day and have just bumped into again, they are extremely vulnerable to the loss of nesting habitats. They are very, very selective and picky as to where they can nest. Only nest in the dead, hollow stumps of massive trees. And as those get destroyed by elephant, their loss of habitat is quite significant. Right, once again a bit of a quiet afternoon. Both Greg and I feel that most likely these cats are sitting on a kill somewhere that they've made a day or two ago when the weather was inclement, had a bit of rain and high winds, so helped their hunting success, I guess. And we haven't seen any tracks of anything for the last couple of days, so probably sitting in the middle of a block on a kill. So we've decided to come back to the hippo and spend some time with the hippo with the last little bit of good light, and hopefully get some good footage of the hippo this afternoon. So enjoy. Right, we've just been given a call that one of the Leopard Hills guys have once again helped us out and have found a pack of dogs, the painted wolves as we're trying to call them now, so we're trying to get there before it's too dark. Hold on. So at this stage it looks like it's just two males. They've been vocalizing a little bit. They're trying to find the rest of the pack. They must have chased and have lost contact with the rest of the pack, and they're trying to catch up with them again. They're calling there. You can see how they were also calling down into the ground, much like Greg was discussing with the hyena vocalizing, and leopard also doing it to get maximum distance out of the call. Well, that's just fantastic to see. The rest of the pack obviously has successfully made a kill somewhere. Finished off the kill, they've all got pretty full bellies and have come back and found the other two members of the pack. That greeting there was twofold. One was re-establishing the bond again, but secondly is begging for food. They regurgitate their food for members of the pack that happen to have missed out on the kill. So really exciting to see that little interaction there. They got a hyena cornered here in the bush. Right, well that was a pretty spectacular end to what promised to be a bit of a quieter day like yesterday, but absolutely fantastic end. Wonderful to have the painted wolves back again on our property. Hopefully they'll stick around for the next couple of days, give us some more wonderful entertainment. Great to follow their lives and see how they behave and what they're up to. But as we've said before, the light's fading now. We don't view the wild dog after dark with the spotlight, so it seems like they're settling down a little bit, had a good meal, and we're going to head home and do the same. Have a good evening, stay safe, stay at home, and we'll see you tomorrow.